The Skraby Show starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
Hello and welcome into the Skraby Show for March 13th, 2025. A good day for one Aztecs team, a bad day for another Aztecs team. If you are just finishing work, you haven't really been paying attention to what's going on today in San Diego sports. The Aztecs men's basketball team lost to Boise State earlier, 62-52. So basically now for them to make the tournament, they got to hope some other teams upset. They got to hope some other teams that aren't really aren't higher than them in the rankings. They got to hope those teams win because Aztecs are going to have to be very patient over the next few days until Sunday, actually. So it's 3 days until Selection Sunday, and Ben Higgins is he's positive about this. He's optimistic. He thinks they're still going to make the tournament, and Ben's usually pretty smart with this stuff. So I'm going to go with Ben and say, yeah, they make the tournament. But we're all going to be watching on Sunday, seeing if the Aztecs men's basketball team win the tournament or make the tournament. Also, the Aztecs women's team pulled off an amazing run through the Mountain West tournament, and they won the championship last night in triple overtime over Wyoming, and it was pretty incredible. And if you didn't hear the game last night from Chris Ello, he was broadcasting that game. Just go back to our 520 segment from Gwen and Chris, and you'll be able to hear us playing some of the clips, having fun with that. But, you know, I'm going to pull the curtain back just a little bit. And I never do this sort of curtain pulling. But I will say that I was pretty excited for Chris last night. Listening to his call, he was very into it. You could tell how much it meant to him. I thought he did a great job. And I thought that his passion for the team definitely came through. And I enjoyed the call because of that. I enjoyed the call because he was doing what he needed to do to make me feel whether or not it's good for the Aztecs, it's bad for the Aztecs. But he stayed with it. His voice is gone. He just left, and he has no more voice. And I'm very, very happy for him, which might be the last time I'll ever say it. Schedules for the next couple days, or at least tomorrow, and then next week. Schedule for tomorrow. We have the Spring Breakout game on the station, and we're going to briefly talk about the Spring Breakout game here tonight. But we have that on the station tomorrow, and it's starting at 2:30. So Chris and I are going to go from 2 to 2:30, and then the Spring Breakout game with Sammy Lev and Bob Scanlon will be called on our airwaves. And then Chris and I are going to have an intermission show between that game, the Spring Breakout game, and then the Padres spring training game tomorrow night, which will also be on the station, and it will be announced by Tony Gwynn Jr. and Jesse Agler. So we have kind of a disjointed show tomorrow, but we'll be going from 2 to 2:30, and then right after the Spring Breakout game ends, up until 6:30 is where we go. So we'll have a little bit of a Skraby show tomorrow night as well. Another schedule announcement. We are going to be in Peoria on Monday and Tuesday. Chris, Tony, myself, we're going to be interviewing players. So Monday and Tuesday, when you tune into the show, we're going to have a bunch of stuff going on from spring training. And I'm pretty interested to see where things are at by then, because we're basically heading to spring training in one of the, it's the last week before. Yes, it's the 17th and the 18th. The opening day is on the 27th. So it's the last week before opening day week. So we should know a little bit more about what's going on with the roster. We should know, hopefully a lot more about what's happening with the fifth starter, with the bench spots, all of that stuff. So we will be there Monday and Tuesday interviewing players. Looking forward to that. I haven't been in 2 years, so it's going to be fun. I'm also going to get some B-roll for everyone out there so that you can watch some stuff on the commercial break on YouTube. By the way, you can join us on YouTube. Just search 97.3 The Fan, or you could search The Skraby Show. There's a super secret chat if you search The Skraby Show, and you'll have the Skrabinators in there. And then finally, final announcement to start the show. Next Friday, we'll be at Dave and Buster's, the whole station, from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. We're going to be broadcasting from the Mission Valley Dave and Buster's for the first Friday of the March Madness tournament. So we will be there all day. Ben and Woods, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Braden Sopranet, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And then Gwyneth Chris from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. And then the Skraby Show, 6 to 7 from Dave and Buster's. So please come on down and hang out with us. I believe what I've been told is when you walk in to Dave and Buster's Mission Valley, you turn left after you walk in, and that's where we'll be. You'll just find the broadcast. It'll be very easy to see. So we would love to see everyone out there tomorrow, or not tomorrow, for next Friday. So 8 days from now. All right. All of the housekeeping is out of the way. What else are we going to talk about on the show tonight? Well, we're going to talk about the Hopo-meter. I was talking about this a few weeks ago, and The Athletic put out an article, and it was actually just a Google form. They wanted to survey people. How optimistic are you about your team? So we have the results of the Hopo-meter, and I got to say, the Padres probably right where I thought they would be. So we'll get to that. And then I also want to play that audio of Josh Allen talking about why he didn't need to become the richest man in football. And it's something that I really think that people should pay attention to, because you don't really see it these days. You don't see guys say stuff like this. So I want to make sure that we all hear it, we all see it, and all of that. But SDFC, I'm going to start with this because I think this is very important. They are putting an end to the chanting like we saw in the home opener. And so they have released a statement. They have put together some rules for people. And I want to make sure people are aware of this before they go to the game on Saturday. But they're saying that fans need to communicate. Fans and ticket buyers will receive direct communication from the club via a Know Before You Go newsletter, which will include all the information and reinforce the club's commitments to fostering an inclusive and respectful match day environment. So even if you transfer your tickets, they're asking you to let those people know what the rules are. They're going to have flyers placed in all seat cup holders, reminding fans not to do that. They're going to have a pre-match message on the video board. They're going to talk about their support, the union leadership, and they're going to deliver messages of unity, inclusivity, and zero tolerance. Also, there's going to be a banner in the stadium saying don't do this. There's going to be enhanced security measures. The number of stadium security personnel will be increased and strategically positioned in key areas with a heightened presence near the opposing goalkeeper section. Offenders will be identified, ejected, and may face additional sanctions. And then finally, the FIFA 3-step protocol is going to be in effect for SDFC home matches, which includes the ability to stop, suspend, or abandon the match if discriminatory behavior persists. Now, I know that some people are not happy with this decision, but here's what I'm going to say about it. I don't think that you should be chanting, homophobic slurs. That's just not something that I want myself to do. I don't want anybody to do, but I realize people are still going to try to do it. But what I love about this is that SDFC is putting their foot down now. They're saying, hey, here are the rules. If you don't follow these rules, these are the actions we're going to take. So it's not like people could say, oh, well, I never knew this. They're going to have videos throughout the game. They're going to have so many different things reminding you not to do this. And this is exactly what they needed to do. If they really, truly, and this shows that they do, want to get rid of this chant in their stadium, then they're doing exactly what they need to do, as in they're telling everybody this is not acceptable. And they're telling everybody from the start. It's not like they're going to say, next year, okay, not acceptable. No, they've put together some pretty strict rules and regulations for this. And I don't mind it. I'm a rule follower. I think everybody knows I'm a rule follower. So I think that it's good when rules are spelled out for people so that they can actually, know what they are, how they're supposed to act, and so they don't get kicked out of the stadium. But if you get kicked out of the stadium, I mean, that's on you, because they've communicated this, and I appreciate the communication from them, because it's a serious thing. And right after the game on opening night, Mikey Varis told the media, this is not what we're about. So SDFC has made it very clear this is not allowed around their team. And this is the way you do it, by just putting your foot down now before things get out of hand. So I appreciate that. I think that that's a really smart thing for SDFC to do. We talked to Brian Dunseth earlier. He's an Apple TV match analyst, and he was. You can go back. It's on our YouTube, 97.3 The Fan. It's also on the website, 97.3thefansd.com. But Brian Dunseth was very impressed with SDFC. He said that they don't look like an expansion team. Just some of the ways that they communicate, ways that they move, is a little bit higher level than he would have thought an expansion team would be. These guys were drafted and played together maybe 6 to 8 weeks ago. So it's not been a long time that this team has been together. And he's been really impressed. And mostly everybody that we've had on to talk about SDFC and how they've played so far, they've been really impressed by SDFC. And I got to say, I am too. I didn't expect for this to be, I know we're 3 games in. I know that some people are screaming at the radio, dude, it's the beginning of the season. I understand that. But as an expansion team, I did not expect for them to do much of anything this year. And I really didn't know how much we were going to pay attention to it here on the state, like here on Gwyn and Chris Skraby Show, or how much we were going to talk about it. But as long as they're playing well, and as long as they're winning, and as long as they're a big part of the community, I don't see why we wouldn't talk about them. And I am trying so hard to learn more and more about the sport of soccer. And I know I asked a shin guard question earlier in the week, and I'm not taking that question back. I've been thinking about this question all week. The shin guard question. I asked them, do they still kick you in the shin guard to make sure that you have them on them? Chris Wehan was who we asked on Monday. And then Sam made fun of me, and then the listeners made fun of me. But you know what? I think it was a good question, because a few people have told me they wonder the same thing. So there, everybody who made fun of me. All right. Spring Breakout. That is happening tomorrow, as I said. We have some things that we should pay attention to per AJ Cassavell. He put out a newsletter today. I read the newsletter. It was a great newsletter. So I'm just going to pass along some things that he said in the newsletter. And when we get back, I think I need to ask a question. I need to ask a question about people who comment on things on the internet. I need to know why. So we'll talk about that when we get back here on the Skraby Show on 97.3 The Fan. There's a Roadrunner. Meet me. He doesn't like me. I guess I wouldn't like me either if I was chasing me. As you can see, I'm all Aztec out here at the Aztec baseball tournament. It's the SDSU baseball alumni tournament. Right now, we are 1 under in the scramble. And Chris is playing well, Tony's playing well. But our ringer, Jack Townsend, is playing really well. So Chris says that he can't play golf, but this is the second birdie putt he's made for us. This time it was like 20 feet.
Thank you very much, Greg. But once again, you're hitting some very nice shots as well. I'm not usually complimentary to you, but I can't help but be complimentary. Your shot making today.
With my what?
Your shot making. You hit some.
We are leaving 10 now, and it's getting really windy. It's actually kind of cold. I'm not gonna lie, I know we're in San Diego, but we're 3 under as a group. We just got off the birdie, and I just hit my defense.
a squirrel. Buddy. He wants to attack me. Squirrely! We just got our second birdie of the day thanks to this guy.
Yeah, a 4-footer after
It was a 5-footer.
after our pro drove it 300 to the front of the green and then chipped it within 5 feet.
Uh-oh.
Gravy, don't feed the animals.
Don't feed the animals. I do feed animals, but Chris made a birdie putt. Leaving the golf course. And we ended up shooting 63 once everything was accounted for, since it was a scramble and we had an SDSU golf player, Jack Townsend. He was with us and he did a lot for us. I think we shot 63 because of him. But we all had a good time.
All right. So, there we go. I clicked the right button. So this morning, I want to talk to you about this commenter on the internet. And I saw Joseph on the chat said, are we considered commenters on the internet? And no, you are not considered commenters on the internet. I'm talking about the people that comment on like news articles and random stuff that you can comment on. So I was looking for Chris vs. the Fans questions today, and I came across a pretty new BuzzFeed trivia page, which I'm not a big BuzzFeed fan, but whatever. They had some good trivia, so I took some of them. But I was going through all the questions, and then at the end, there was like 73 questions or something like that. So I go through it, and then I see a comment on the article. And I always love to look at the comments on the articles because I'm like, what weird person is commenting on this article? It could be like something that doesn't mean it's not that big of a deal at all. You got someone all up in arms in the comments section. Well, so I was going through this whole thing and I saw this question from T Money 52. Keep in mind, this is on BuzzFeed. This is on the BuzzFeed page. So this person is commenting on a BuzzFeed trivia page. But they said this, T-Money52. Question number 61 is misleading. How many strikes before you're out? It's 2. On strike 3, you're already out. So the question was, how many strikes do you get in baseball before being out? And I looked into this comment because really, I don't know the answer to this question. I think it's 3 strikes. I think T Money 52 is wrong on this one. How many strikes before you're out? It's 2. On strike 3, you're already out. I think that maybe the question was slightly misleading, but I think that T Money 52 is wrong here. I don't know. But the real thing was, I went down to this comment and I'm looking at it, and then I see people replied to it. And there's at least 15 replies from people out there with their own versions of questions and their own answers that they want to see and all of that other stuff. But like, who comments on a BuzzFeed trivia page article? I got to know. If there's anybody in the chat right now that if there's anyone in the chat right now that has commented on these articles before, please let me know why you do it and what purpose that serves for you. Because it doesn't seem like, to me at least, this would be something that would make me feel better in my life. But T Money 52 asking the hard questions. Oh, I think Trevor said it's 2. But how many strikes before you're out? Or actually, the real question is this. How many strikes do you get in baseball before being out? I still think it's 3. It's kind of like a riddle. I can get why he would think it would be 2 strikes, and on strike 3 you're already out, but you have to receive strike 3 to be out. I'm not going to spend too much time. On this. Jocelyn says, who chats on YouTube with sports radio guys all day? That would be so weird. That's not weird. I appreciate all of you because it makes me feel like I'm actually with people. But anyway, that was my question this morning. I sat there and really did read these comments. I also sat there and thought about this question for far too long, maybe like 20 minutes. And I don't think I'll ever know the answer. Spring Breakout tomorrow, as I said, 2:30 p.m. on the station. Sammy Lev and Bob Scanlon calling the action here. AJ Cassavell wrote, if you don't subscribe to AJ Cassavell's newsletter, you should just go to MLB.com. You'll find a spot to do that there. But he puts together a really good newsletter, and he put together 6 things that we should be watching for in tomorrow night's Spring Breakout game. Now, number 1, he said Ethan Salas. Ethan Salas has been opening eyes around spring training so far. He was reassigned to a minor league camp last week, so it's not like he's still with the team. But when he was with the big league team and he was playing, I mean, I think a couple of our guests said that his eye was better than they thought it was. He was able to take pitches that were close to the strike zone that he was swinging at last year. So Ethan Salas, like, how much better can he get this year? Because I think, as we've said, we're kind of looking at a 2026 debut for Ethan Salas. And he is, I have to say that I feel good about how they're handling this whole situation, because right now the catching situation for the Padres isn't the greatest in the world, but it's actually, it's not the worst situation in the league, I would hope. I mean, I don't think it's the worst situation in the league because you have major league catchers that have played major league seasons. But Ethan Salas, I like how they're kind of holding him back. They're letting him develop. They're letting him do things on his own time a little bit. He's only 18. So he's got plenty of time before he debuts. Like, there's no rush for Ethan Salas to make it to the big leagues. So he's the number 1 on the list. Leo DeVries is the Padres' top-ranked prospect, and AJ Preller saying, why don't you watch out for the ascension of Leo DeVries? Because he's already proven himself to be an up-and-coming player that the Padres are absolutely going to be using at some point, because he has been ever since he started, he has just kept going up and up and up, getting to each new level and it doesn't seem like anything really phases him. And he's just a really good baseball player. AJ Cassavell wrote, a switch hitting shortstop with all sorts of tools. His skill set is tantalizing. But the Padres have come away just as impressed with his makeup, particularly the impact he has had on his teammates. So he said, it's going to be a beautiful event about the spring breakout on a beautiful stage. And I have the opportunity to share that with my teammates. Playing against other prospects, it's going to be a really fun experience, a really beautiful experience. I'm looking forward to it. Sounds like he also has the right mindset as well, which is very important, very important. So watch Leo DeVries tomorrow in the spring breakout game and watch how good he really is. Now, here's where we get into some of the players that I'm not so familiar with, but Braden Nett is coming off of a season. He was at High A Fort Wayne and Double A San Antonio, but he has moved all the way up to the team's number 9 prospect. He's a pitcher, and they're thinking, or AJ Cassavell is surmising, there is a path for him to earn a big league breakthrough at some point this year. And he has to lower his walk rate, which is what AJ Cassavell is writing. Salas said about Nett, he's a beast. You've seen his growth and maturity skyrocket. He's a true pro now. The way he keeps pitching, he's going to be up there. He's going to be helping the big league team really soon. So Braden Nett, I'm looking forward to seeing a little bit about Braden Nett tomorrow. I'm not so familiar with that. Now, here's another guy I'm not so familiar with, but I need to be. Second rounder Boston Bateman, AJ Cassavell is saying. He's set for his first true game action as a Padre. He was selected number 52 overall last summer. He didn't appear in a game, but he pitched in game settings at the team's complex in Peoria during fall ball. The 6'8" left-hander currently ranks as the Padres' number 5 prospect, Boston Bateman. Now, Cash Mayfield is another first round pick for the Padres, but he has had the flu and he's not yet ready to go, so he's not going to be a part of the game tomorrow. Number 5, definitely heard of him. We've talked about him, and I think we're going to see him on the big league team at some point this year. Bradley Rodriguez. He's going to be on the spring breakout roster, and he's already turned heads in spring training with the coaches, with other teams, with players, but he is available to pitch in relief on Friday. And he went from single A, he went through 3 levels last season. Single A Lake Elsinore, the High A Fort Wayne, to Double A San Antonio, combining to post a 2.64 ERA with 75 strikeouts and 61 1/3 innings. He pitched 4 Cactus League innings, allowing 2 runs on 4 hits, no walks, while striking out 4. Mike Schultz said Bradley was fantastic. He put himself on the radar to get here, and he put himself on the radar to get here and stay here. I just like the way he competed. This guy gets after it with good stuff, a lot of positives, and a bright future. So Bradley Rodriguez, we've already seen some stuff from him. I'm pretty sure we're going to, well, I can't say I'm pretty sure, but it's likely we'll see him during the season if the Padres need some relief pitching help, but you can watch him tomorrow as well. Finally, what you should watch for in the spring breakout game tomorrow. Trevor Hoffman's going to be the pitching coach tomorrow. That's actually kind of cool. He's going to be out there with the spring breakout game players, and he's going to be coaching all the pitchers. It's a showcase game, he said. It'll be fun. They get to compete against the A's. I've been around these guys with their work. When their work is going on the backfields, I'm just excited to be around them in a situation where they get to go compete. Sorry. He joked that it would feel a bit odd to be the one walking to the mound, having been on the other end of that process many times, but it does seem like he'll have to go visit them. So let's watch for that tomorrow too. Trevor Hoffman. I think that's awesome. I love that Trevor Hoffman is so selfless with the organization and the younger players in the organization. And I love that Trevor Hoffman doesn't shy away from, being a Padre for life. That's what he wants to do. And that's what he does. And that's awesome. And Trevor Hoffman always continuing to help the Padres get further and further in their development. He is actually a special advisor in the Padres operations department. So maybe this can be a little scouting for him as well. Matt Skraby here, 97.3 The Fan. When we get back, We're going to go to break. You can watch me on YouTube if you want. Just go search 97.3 The Fan. When we get back, we're going to play the Josh Allen clip that I've been talking about, and it's very refreshing. We're also going to talk about the Hope-O-Meter, MLB fans' optimism, plus Daily Gripe. Stick with me. One more segment to go on the Skraby Show, 97.3 The Fan.
The biggest guest.
You just heard Zach Galbraith there doing the CBS Sports Minute update, talking about Tiger Woods tearing his Achilles tendon, talking about how we had hope that he would win another tournament. I haven't been trying. I don't want to be a hater. I'm not a hater of Tiger Woods, but I don't need to see him play golf anymore. I've already seen him play his best golf. We don't need to see him play golf anymore. I mean, if he wants to play golf, he can play golf, but I would be good if I never saw Tiger Woods play professional golf again. I don't really care. And I've been saying that for a while now. I feel like Tiger has, it's good for tournaments. It's good for the game. And I think he did have to make some appearances because of the whole live thing and making sure that he keeps the PGA Tour front and center. And he's really the only way to keep the PGA Tour front and center because he's Tiger Woods. But I never thought that he would ever, after the Masters, I thought it probably was over for major wins. And I don't know. I think Trevor said Tiger should go for the senior tour. He doesn't need to play the senior tour. That's where you go if you got, nothing else to do and you really, really want to play golf. Rory McIlroy actually said recently that he's not looking to play golf on the senior tour level. He said he's done really well during his career, and he's been an 18-year vet so far, which is kind of crazy. He joined golf PGA Tour when he was 17, so he's had an 18-year professional career, and he's only 35, is what he said. And he said he wants to play until 50, as long as he can, but he does not want to go to the senior tour, and I don't blame him. I mean, he doesn't need that, unless it's all up to them. Unless he gets to that point in life and he's like, you know what? I still want to play professional golf. Well, then he might play professional golf. It does really make me feel old, though, that Rory McIlroy has been on tour for 18 years. Because I remember when he debuted way back when, and it was a huge deal that he debuted because he was the kid phenom around the world. And he was raw, but also you could see how good he would be. And then he won the U.S. Open at Congressional, and he ran away with it. And then he won a couple other majors. But I feel really old that Rory McIlroy has been a pro for 18 years. That's kind of insane. Rory McIlroy seems like he's kind of over this whole PGA Tour live thing too. Same with Justin Thomas, and I don't blame him. Rory said last year it was that it took a lot out of him, this live and PGA Tour thing. He had a lot of meetings. He had a lot of stress. He had a lot of pressure on him from other players. So he's not doing that anymore, and he's just focusing on golf. But anyway, Tiger Woods, you don't need to play anymore, Tiger. I'm good. I don't need to see you play anymore. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. The Hopometer. Let's go to the Hopometer because, again, this was put out by The Athletic, and I voted a couple weeks ago, and they have results now for what Padres fans think about this year. How hopeful, how optimistic are they for this coming year? Now, the number one team, I can't even believe that there is someone who didn't vote optimism for the Dodgers. They have a 99.7% optimism. Who is the 0.3% that is not optimistic about this team? I don't know. Here are some of the comments, which are very annoying. Optimist Len. All that's missing is the championship parade date. Oh, wait. You know what I should do for that? I'm going to do these out. I'm going to do this after each one. Let me start that over. Optimist Len. All that's missing is the championship parade date. Optimist Eric. On several occasions, I've forgotten they added Blake Snell. That's how blessed we are right now. For a team that's ruining baseball, quote unquote, they play it very well. Optimist Randy. On paper, the Dodgers are Goliaths. But I still can't shake the reality that baseball, above other sports, is rarely won by the best team. All right, I'm not going to laugh at that one because that's kind of real. And then the final one was an anonymous pessimist. It's impossible to be optimistic. We've either broken baseball by spending and winning the World Series, or we're the laughing stock choke artists. Excited to find out which we are. Come on, Dodgers fans. That's all I'm going to spend on that. Arizona Diamondbacks coming number 2. Their fans are 99.4% optimistic, which I agree with. If I'm a Diamondbacks fan, I'm very excited about how the year is going to shape up. The first optimist Nancy, 2 Corbins instead of 1, because they added Corbin Burns and they have Corbin Carroll. But Diamondbacks 99.4. Now here's one that I think is really strange. Rangers fans, 97.5% optimism. Last year they had 97% optimism and they missed the playoffs. I just don't. Optimist Jim says, I'm scared Jacob deGrom won't make it through May again. I am too. I am a little bit scared of that too, because it seems like he does get hurt a lot and he's older and they signed him to a huge deal and he was out and blah, 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 blah. Mets are next. Okay, I'm going to go all the way down to the Padres. I'm still scrolling. You hear me? That's me scrolling right there. Still scrolling. Oh, there we go. Padres, 16th most optimistic fan base, 70.2% optimism. I think that is spot on. 7 out of 10 Padres fans are optimistic about this season. I think that's pretty representative. Last year it was 56.3%. And they had a pretty good team last year. So I don't know, that 14% change. I mean, for the first part of the offseason, I didn't think anyone was optimistic. But really, I think that Padres fans are feeling like most of us. Like they have a good team, they have a core, they have some pieces. They're going to be okay. Pessimist Steven. Not pessimist Steven. Optimist John is what I want. Being a Padres fan is hard. It's not as if there's a lot of historical success to lean on, and the Dodgers just keep establishing a monopoly on baseball. Still, there are reasons for hope. Manny Machado and Nino Tatis are healthy. I've never heard Nino Tatis before. Jackson Merrill's a superstar in waiting, and the pitching is solid. I like Optimist John. Optimist Spencer. AJ Preller seems to have the ability to complete a puzzle without all the pieces. I agree with that as well. But 16th, 70.2% optimism. I think that is spot on. 7 out of 10. Let me go all the way down now to the bottom because we got to see who's last. I'm still scrolling. Number 30. I bet you people can guess this right now. The Chicago White Sox. There are actually people out there that are optimistic about the White Sox, which I don't know is... I think that's a little delusional to steal Mick Cronin's word, but 8.7% optimism for White Sox fans, which is up 4% from last year. 4.7% were optimistic for the White Sox last year. Pessimist Sky, just hoping we don't set the loss record again. There's no optimist here. Pessimist Brian, the biggest mistakes a White Sox fan could make is to fall into the nihilistic optimism of saying, we lost 121 games last year. This year's team can't possibly hurt me more than that. That's not true. We're going to lose 122. Pessimist Scott, the bar is set so low, it's in hell's root cellar. This team plans to tunnel underneath it. Last one, Pessimist John. Rooting for the White Sox is like missing a tooth. Your tongue knows it'll hurt, but it keeps going back to it again and again. It hurts every time, and you tell your tongue to find anywhere else to go in your mouth, but it keeps coming back to that pit of pain and misery. That's really sad for White Sox fans, but that was a really in-depth comparison by Pessimist John. So the hope-o-meter was better than I thought. 70.2% of Padres fans are optimistic. And I agree with that. I can't find, I don't think that, I think that now that spring training is happening and we've seen some things, even though the Padres don't have a great spring training record, I think that made people feel better. Nick Pivetta signing made people feel better. Bringing in some of the other guys on the outside, Jose Iglesias. I'm blanking right now. Jason Hayward. Why am I blanking right now? It's been been a long week, but anyway, you all know who I'm talking about. I'm optimistic about this team, and I'm hoping they start fast this year because it's always kind of hard to watch the team start slow and then kind of be 500 for a little bit and then drop under 500 and then go one game under or over 500. It's just hard to watch sometimes, and so I'm hoping that they start a little bit faster than they have in the past. Now, Josh Allen, quarterback for the Buffalo Bills, he just signed a big old extension. And he was talking to the media, and he said something that I think is very important. And I think he said something that is very refreshing in this day and age for us to hear someone talk about it like this. But I'm going to get it on the screen for everyone. And here is Josh Allen with the media talking about his contract extension.
It didn't seem like, to my perspective, I was taking a whole lot less. But when the way that I make sense of it, when you start getting these fairly big numbers throughout the entire league, it's weird to say this, but what's 5 more going to do for my life that I can't already do right now, right? So like it's not that crazy to me, right? Like I live a pretty good life. Got a house, got a car, we're good. But I wasn't looking to absolutely kill them at every chance that I could. And I told my agent that. I was like, hey, if this has any impact on the pack, or impact on the cap, I should say, let's figure out a way to not do that. So again, both sides were willing to move and change different things, and it was a pretty calm mannered negotiation, is what I can say, at least what I can hear on both sides. So it was good.
The reason I played that is because you don't hear professional athletes often say, hey, I didn't need that extra $5 million, because you know what am I going to do? What is that going to do for me? I have a quote, I live a really good life, got a house, got a car, we're good. I want more quarterbacks to act like this in the league. I want more athletes to act like this. Josh Allen is from a small town in California, in the middle of California, in Central California, called Firebaugh. And every time I drive up to go see my sister or go see family up in the Bay Area, I always pass Firebaugh. And I always think I should get off the freeway right now. Gosh, I can't speak right now. I should get off the freeway and I should go to Firebaugh and I should go to Josh Allen's high school and see if they have a trophy or a statue of him. But I never do, because I don't want to deal with it as I'm driving to San Francisco and I'm about 6 hours into the drive and I have about 2.5 left. So I never do it. But he came from a really small, upbringing. It wasn't like he was really rich. It wasn't like his family had millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. And he's a normal guy. He's a guy that I think we could all probably hang out with. He seems humble, even though he just signed a contract for $330 million. You don't get that feeling from him. And I wish more athletes were like that. I do. I understand some athletes that are like, hey, I need all the money. Okay, fine, whatever. If that makes you sleep better at night, then there you go. Do that. But there's other athletes that are like, I don't care what it does to my team. I just want to make the most money possible. And you heard Josh Allen say right there, I told the GM, I don't want it to affect the cap. How can we do this so that it doesn't affect the cap? That is a winner. That is a guy you want on your team. Someone who's more concerned about the team and signing guys than making an extra $5 million and being the richest quarterback of all time. That's kind of a cool title, but it's only going to last until the next contract. So are you going to go? Are you going to make a big deal about it with your team? Ruffle feathers for that extra $5 million? No, he's a smarter guy than that. And I am a big fan of Josh Allen and what he said right there. He's just, very, very humble, nice guy. And I want him as my quarterback, and I will pay him whatever he wants, because Brock Purdy, his salary is going to make sure that the 49ers are able to sign no one this offseason. Dan says something that's very true. There are agents that don't want them to act like that. That is true. Agents want to make their money, but when you have Josh Allen, I think you kind of just say, you know what? He's going to make me a lot of money throughout my time with him. So if he doesn't want me to argue for that $5 million, then I'm not going to argue with that $5 million. But you're right, Dan. There are certain agents that would be like, no, we have to go for that $5 million because they want that commission. And every little bit counts to some people. I get, yes, I know that money is important, but I've said for a long time, I don't need millions of millions and millions and millions of dollars to be happy. I just want to be able to have a living, a comfortable living. That's all I really care about.
What's annoying Skraby today? Let's find out. It's time for the Daily Gripe.
All right. My daily gripe is two things. So the first thing is I want to do a PSA. Please be aware of where you're getting your news, because I followed an X conversation earlier today, and this person that posted it was using a quote unquote fact from another Twitter post. Now, this person on the post people on the post told this person that the account they were referencing was a satire account. And what they post is not true. It's satire. But the person would not believe it. Wouldn't believe it. Person kept going back and forth. No, this is real. No, this is real. No, this is real. So this was thousands of comments. And this person I saw at least 50 replies. So my PSA here is make sure your news source is an actual news source, or at least confirm the information that you're going with is actual things that have happened and not a satire account. You can't get your news from a satire account. My second gripe. People.com reporting on the dumbest stuff. And this is a 49er one. Fred Warner's wife, Sydney Warner, had a cryptic IG post after Kyle Juszczyk and others were released from the 49ers. First part of this gripe is that People.com needs to find something better to do. I get that's kind of what they are, but I don't think many people know who Fred Warner is or Sydney Warner. But the main gripe here is people like Sydney Warner who dance on the graves of people. Like Kyle Juszczyk, he was cut. That's a pretty bad time in his life. A lot of other guys were let go too. But dancing on someone's grave when they lose a job, bad karma. I am not a fan of this. I'm not a fan of Sydney Warner trying to start drama. And you know what? I don't really even care about what happens off of the football field. This stuff does not interest me in the least. But I have a friend who tells me all the time all the different things that Sydney Warner does, and I guess Sydney Warner is at odds with Claire Kittle because Claire Kittle thinks she's the queen bee or whatever. All right, that's it. Back tomorrow. Spring Breakout game at 2:30. Talk to you all at 2 p.m. 97.3 The Fan. Good night.